I want to show you a quick way that you will see chords written out quite often when you read about them or see videos, and they'll write chords out a certain way. It's like a string of numbers, and you're like, well, what does that mean? Well, it's writing out the chord, and it's a very quick and easy way to show chords. And I want to just take a second to explain it to you. It's all based off of the open strings positions. Now, we're going to talk about standard tuning guitars, right? So standard guitars, in standard tuning, guitars are tuned low E, A, D, G, B, E, right? You have your strings, your low E string, then your A, then your D, then your G, then your B, and your high E, okay? That order, all right. So if you take it and write them out across, E, A, D, G, B, E, all right. You'll see chords a lot of times often. You've probably seen like this, a series of 6 numbers, or even it might even have an X in it, the numbers and the X's. And this is how a lot of times you'll see chords written out. And it's very easy. All this is it's telling you the fret number, and 0 is an open string. X means you don't play that string. And this is going in exact order as the strings. So this first one at the far left is the E string, then the A string, D, G, B, and E. That's standard. So for all 6, every chord or every interval written out is going to have 6 digits. Some of them might be X'd off, but there'll be 6 placements. And those 6 are for each string. And it's always in that order. E string, A, D, G, B, and E. So for this one up top here, this first one, you would put your, if you just see this, it's actually a G chord. But what you would do is you'd put your, on the low E string, because your first one's a low E string, 3rd fret, 2nd fret A string. So 3rd fret low E string, 2nd fret A string, D and G are open, and then 3rd fret on the B and high E. And guess what? That's our G chord, right? G. Let's do another one. If you see this, X on the low E means you don't play the low E, open A string, and then 2nd fret on the D, G, and B strings, and an open high E. So 2nd fret on D, 2nd fret on G, 2nd fret on B, open high E string, open A string, and I'm not playing, I'm muting out the low E string because there's an X. And check it out. It's our A chord, right? A chord. Let's do another one. If you see this writing, just, again, read it just like you're reading a book, left to right. First placement is your E string, low E, then your A, then your D, then your G, then your B, then your E. You do not play 2 X's, the low E or the A string. The D string you're going to play open, 2nd fret on the G string, 3rd fret on the B, 2nd fret on the high E, and we have our D chord, right? And that'll sound like this. So it's a really easy way to communicate and to write chords out, and you'll see them often like this, whether it's a bar chord, an open chord, whatever, minor chord, 7th chord, anything, because all you're doing is you're listing one placement for each digit or each number. Here's another one here. Let's see if you can figure this one out. Open low E string, 2nd fret on the A and the D string, and then open G, B, and high E. Right? That's our E minor chord. There it is. There's only one little confusing thing about this system where you'll see something a little different than stuff like this, is that when you get past the 10th fret and over, you know, then you're going to have 2 digits for a certain string, right? Like what if you're playing something on the 10th fret and then the next string on the 10th fret? So then you're going to have 2 digits for each one of these, and then it could get real confusing. So what I do and what you'll see people do to help that is you'll see dashes in between when you're up around the 10th fret. So this is again low E string, A, D, G, B, E, but it's separated by dashes. On stuff like this, you don't need the dashes because you're only talking single digits. You're not past the 10th fret. So for instance, this, what we have drawn out here would be 8th fret low E, 10th fret on the A and the D, 9th fret on the G, and 8th fret on the high B and E. So that would be a C major chord, 8th fret, low E, 10th fret on the A and the D, and then the 9th fret on the G, and then high E string 8th fret on the B and the high E. So you get that C major bar chord. So that's really the only tricky thing, and it's not really even that tricky. Don't let that throw you. It's just dashes that you'll see when it's 10th fret or greater. Anyway, it's a really easy way. You'll see chords displayed like this all the time, and now you'll know exactly what it means. And like if you're talking to your friends or you're emailing and you want to tell them, a certain chord, or you're trying to write down a chord in a forum, instead of, because you're not going to sit there and do the lines like tablature, you just list it out like this. It works out really well. And you'll see this a lot, like in our videos when we're doing progressions and I'm showing the chords. I'll just throw the chord names in there just so you have it and this number so you can find them really quick. It's a nice little reference tool, and it's very popular all throughout the guitar playing world. See you in the next lesson.